my name is Carissa Voyas, a freshman nursing student here at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Over spring break, Kelly Haggerty, a fellow freshman nursing student here at the university, was fortunate enough to interview one of her close family friends, Nancy Katsuba. Nancy has been a registered nurse working at the operating room at Mass Eye and Ear for 24 years now. Her title within this smaller, more private hospital is a clinical resource nurse for the pediatric population, many of who receive ear surgery. She also acts as a circulating nurse, which means that she takes care of patients within the actual operating room. She aids the doctor in making sure everything is set up properly and consults with the anesthesiologist. Recently in class, we learned about the extreme importance of communication and how to execute it efficiently. Similarly, Mrs. Katsuba stressed the importance of communication within the workspace. She described it as a main aspect of her work and said providing the best quality patient care only comes with proper communication between nurses and between nurse and physician. Because of this positive and effective communication expressed, she feels a strong bond with the physicians who work in the operating room. This is important because, as we have learned in class, doctors can sometimes degrade nurses and their skills because they are unsure of their knowledge or confidence in the workplace. It seems as though Mrs. Katsuba and her fellow colleagues all view each other on an even playing ground, which is exceedingly important in a workplace, especially in the medical field. Nurses as well as physicians need to be confident in their work abilities and knowledge, and to be supported by their co-workers. To anyone who watches this video, and especially nursing students, it is hopeful and inspiring. Throughout the video, Mrs. Katsuba speaks about how many opportunities nursing offers, how fulfilling the career is, and how many relationships you will develop, and how much your own personal knowledge will expand. It gives nursing students motivation to strive and succeed, so that one day in the future, hopefully a nursing student will be asking us about all of our great...
So, as you all know, I'm Kelly. I'm a freshman nursing student at UMass Amherst, and I'm interviewing Nancy Katsuba.
Yes.
The first question is, describe the main responsibilities of your position.
All right, so the main responsibilities for my position right now, I am a registered nurse working in the operating room. My role is a clinical resource nurse for the pediatric population. So I mostly deal with kids in a lot of airway surgeries, and I am referred to as like a circulating nurse, so taking care of the patient in the operating room. Yeah.
What is the most satisfying job about your job and why?
Probably the patient care is the most satisfying for me. I love the kids. I feel like I just get so much satisfaction with working with them. Even if they're very sick, I feel like we do things to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's like a terminal illness or if there's some type of an airway obstruction, we do things to make it better for the child.
Okay.
So I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
So just being there and helping the child.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
nice.
Yes.
And what is least satisfying about your job and why?
The least satisfying part of my adequate staffing.
Yeah,
maybe?
that we've read a lot of research about that.
Yeah, so maybe like those days that are terribly busy, like when I'm working with this one certain physician that does 2 rooms, and he may have like today he had like 17 patients. So those days where there's not a staff member to come in and give you like just a 15-minute break in the morning or something like that, I would say the staffing probably.
How did you decide to get into nursing? In this field particularly.
I'll say when I was younger that I had taken care of an older lady. I used to like do her yard work and help her clean up, and I kind of thought about it back then. And then when I was getting out of high school, I applied to nursing school and for respiratory therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I went nursing because I thought it was a better career for me.
Okay.
But in doing that, I chose the long path.
All right.
So instead of going to, at that point, it would have been Boston State, I didn't want to commit for 4 years.
Okay.
Then I went LPN school, which was a year, and then I ended up going the long way, back to school after that for an RN and associates.
All right.
And then I went right on, got my RN and a bachelor's, and then later in life got a master's in nursing and a pediatric nurse practitioner.
Oh, and you just basically told me the education and training you've had.
Okay.
And do you feel the education you've had like has helped you in this field? Why or not? Why not? In like certain cases.
Yeah, I feel like when I was an LPN, they used to always say you got to go back to school and get your RN, which is true. And then when you went to RN school, they used to say you have to go get your bachelor's, which I find is true now because I find that a lot of hospitals hire, entry level
Yeah.
is they want BSNs.
Okay.
So there's a couple of people in our work right now in the operating room that only have their associates, they have their RN, but they are being highly encouraged to go back to school for their bachelor's.
And
So I would encourage that for anybody.
Okay.
Anybody that wants to go to nursing school, I would say just go straight for your bachelor's, if
And-
not more.
How do you feel about your master's? Do you feel that's benefited you?
Well, I think initially I wanted to be that pediatric nurse practitioner, and then I had that unexpected third child.
Yeah.
So that's when I went down to the OR, and then I really liked the operating room. I've been at Mass Eye for 24 years, and went down to the operating room, and I loved it, and then I just kind of lost the desire to do the pediatric nurse practitioner. I feel like, I'm not using my master's right now, but that's fine. I'm very happy and satisfied with my.
So, what recommendations do you have for someone wanting to enter or progress in this field?
I would say anybody that wants to enter the field to go for it. It's a great field. Nursing's a great field. There's so many different things that you can do with it. You don't have to work in a hospital. You can work in a doctor's office. You can teach. You can do research. There's so much to do. It's a great career and so many different areas to specialize in.
Yeah.
So it's a great career, and for anybody that's in there now, I say stay strong, study hard, and do it.
What advice do you have for being a successful student to be a nurse? Like, what do you advise students to do?
Well, I would advise students to study hard, and to just make sure they understand the concepts of, not just the book stuff, but how to apply it to clinical practice.
Okay.
The practical stuff, like, you know what to say to a patient, but, or how to act, but just kind of pulling it all together, I feel like, between does that make sense?
Yeah.
The school part and the clinical
Social,
practice,
yeah.
and
No, that definitely makes sense. I think
Okay.
being a good nurse requires a lot of different capabilities.
Right, and you have to be flexible. Like, especially like, you wouldn't do with a kid what you would do with an older adult, and you have to learn, that.
What skills and personal qualities are important for success in this nursing field?
I would say communication is a big communication, because you have to be able to deal with the patients, your coworkers, the doctors, and I'm actually a part of a group right now that we're doing training for like malpractice insurance and things, and it's called CRICO, simulation training.
Okay.
And the big thing about that is like they give you different scenarios. Somebody has a code, there's a fire in the OR, but the main point of it is communication.
Okay.
That you're able to communicate with members of the team to provide the best and the best quality patient care.
What is a typical workday like for you?
I work either 2 7 to 5s or 2 7 to 3, so 36 hours a week. A 7 to 5 day, I get in there basically by 6:30. I have a room full of, like one day I may only have a couple of cases, but like today it would be like 8 cases in one day, and for this one particular doctor. And I would be the circulating nurse, so I would bring the patients in the operating room, get them settled, help anesthesia, help the surgeon make sure everything's, we have everything we need, and just provide safe patient care
Okay.
until the patient is done with surgery. Then I bring them to the recovery room and get ready for the second one.
All right. Do you feel you're staying there longer hours than what your actual day is? You mentioned being there by 6:30. Are you staying there a little after 5 to make sure everything's settled?
I do if they need me to.
Okay.
If they don't have the staff, which on the evening part, they don't have as much staff. So when rooms run later than expected, then I will often stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some opportunities for promotion or advancement in this career field?
So for me, being a staff nurse and then like doing the clinical resource job for PD is like a step up from the staff nurse. And that's like working a lot with the kids, kind of being in charge of the group that's in the PD rooms, the pediatric rooms. making sure all the doctors are happy and we have all the equipment and everything that we need. There's also like other opportunities that I did venture into at one point for the management thing, which I was not crazy about. So I stepped back from that.
Okay.
But there is room for improvement.
And I know you mentioned before something about the lack of physicians and staff or whatever. Like, how do you feel like your communication with the doctors and physicians? Because you said making them happy. Do you feel it's good?
Yeah, I feel like in the operating room it's a different environment than working with the physicians on the floor.
Okay.
So I feel like in the operating room you have more of, you talk more with the doctors. You know a little bit about their lives or their kids or what's going on, and I feel like there's a stronger bond there. Like you don't really have that conversation upstairs on the floors.
All right.
So I feel like it's a stronger bond working in the operating. There's where I work, it's a great group of physicians, surgeons, so it's a great place.
Lucky.
Yep.
How do you feel this field is expanding or changing?
Well, I feel like it's changing in just the educational requirements, because I know now they want
a doctorate to become
before, they want bachelor level entry for nursing. So they want that. And like I said, there's only like maybe four or five people that do not have their bachelor's at this point. So I feel like that's a big change. Also, we've had like a lot of big changes. We're probably not as advanced as some of the other hospitals like Mass General or Brigham, but we are getting there, like as far as computer skills and things like that. But as far as the education, I've seen a big change with that.
All right.
Yeah, entry level position.
What is the entry level salary range for this field?
All right, so I believe they're starting the new nurses at $27 an hour.
Okay.
And their range goes up to 63, I want to say is the max.
All right.
$63 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, but I know that it's better elsewhere, like Brigham, Mass General, Children's, but we're a smaller, private hospital. But yeah, $27 an hour.
What professional organizations should I consider joining as a practicing RN when I get my degree and stuff?
Yeah, maybe the M&A, ANA, and then if you decide that you're going to specialize into any certain areas, like if you're going to do the OR, then maybe join that group,
All right.
or if you're just going to do PD, or, they have different subspecialty groups.
All right. Thank you so much, Nancy.
You're welcome,
this interview
Kelly.
went great.
Good, thank you.
Overall, this interview with an RN project was very helpful. We learned a lot of new things from Nancy, and a lot of the things that we heard from her were not only new things, but things that we had discussed in class. Nancy talked about a lot of different parts of the job, both good and bad, once again proving that nursing will not be a breeze. It consists of a lot of hard work, not only while you're in school, but once you're in the actual field as well. She also described how nursing opened up so many options. Simply just receiving your RN doesn't just end your schooling. You're forever learning. Like Nancy said, how she went to the OR, decided to learn there, how she learned more with pediatrics when she started working with them. It was really nice to hear an actual nurse talk about things that we did learn in class, such as the issues of understaffing, the importance of communication, and developing technology. It's really nice to know that everything that we're learning in class will actually be used in the field one day. Some other similarities that we had to Nancy were she was talking about how there were different organizations for nurses once they're actual registered nurses, just like right now we have SNA. She says that there are organizations such as the American Nurses Association, which is more national, and the Massachusetts Nurses Association, which is smaller and obviously more local. It was very reassuring to hear that Nancy believes that everyone right now at UMass is on the right path to becoming a nurse, because she advises people to receive their bachelor's. It's the easiest route, and to even go on further, get your master's, do any further learning that you should, because as I said before, the field of nursing is always a learning experience, and hopefully all of us on UMass right now are at the right track. It's really nice to talk to a real RN and just to have something to look forward to when we're done with school. Thank you.